gun-toting rednecks, the brain-dead morbidly obese, and a town sinking into nothingness. We're not talking about Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is the Hunt Showdown beta. Alright, so Hunt Showdown is finally coming to consoles. I've been waiting for this. I played it on the computer and I liked it a lot. I've been excited for this game since they announced it at E3. It looked great, and it played pretty great on the computer. But how does it play on my Xbox One X? But since this is a beta and not the full release, I'm just going to be giving you guys my impressions of what I thought of Hunt Showdown on the Xbox. So I'm going to start out with my thoughts on the game, and then I'm going to give you guys a little taste of what the gameplay is like. I love the game world. I think it's an amazing gothic nightmare blended with Louisiana bayous, cowboy demon hunters, and more. There were 2 game modes in the beta. One was quick play, where you run around, scavenge for weapons and gear, which is kind of like a battle royale. Your health is slowly dwindling, so you have to find these 4 different portals, close them up, and your health will stay where it's at. If your health runs down to 0, you die. And only 1 person out of 10 people can win this mode, and the prize is you get to save your soul. The second mode, which is the one that I mostly played, is the bounty hunting mode. That's where you and a friend or a random, you have a bounty that you have to collect. To collect that bounty, you have to go around and find the different clues that tell you the location of the bosses that you have to kill in order to collect said bounty. So in the beta, there's 2 different bosses. You have a spider and you have the butcher. The spider's pretty self-explanatory. It's a giant spider. And the butcher is a huge guy who's wearing a hog's head for a mask, and he carries around a giant meat cleaver. Sometimes the bounty will be just for one boss, and sometimes the bounty's for both. Now the problem obviously is between you, the clues, and the bosses are a bunch of zombies and other creatures, and of course the other players. So not only do you have to contend with the bad guys, you also have to contend with real thinking players. So say you've successfully found all the clues, they tell you where that final boss is, you go and fight the boss, you kill it. That's not it. You just don't get handed the bounty right there. You now have to banish the boss back to hell. And while that boss is banishing, everyone in the map can see where you are. Some might come and try to kill you and take the bounty. Others will wait for you to get to the extraction point, because the thing is, once you've killed the boss, once you've done the banishing, you then have to collect a token, which you have to bring across the map to an extraction point. And more than likely, you're probably going to run into some douchebag players who didn't want to do any of the work, and they just waited by the extraction point so that whoever does all the work runs into their guns. And then once they kill the players who did all the work, they take the bounty for themselves and extract. I actually ran into that problem on my last match. I played as a solo, I killed some players, I killed the boss, I banished them, and I ran all the way across the map with people in pursuit, and some guy was just sitting there waiting in the bushes and shot me, and that was the end of my match, and he took everything that I earned. Now obviously this guy is a lazy cunt, but at the same time, good for him, he played smart. He let somebody else do all the work and then took all the glory for himself. So that is the bounty hunt mode. Now in this game there is permadeath, so once you have a character, you've been playing with them for a while, you get them all tricked out. You know, they have all these great traits and weapons and everything, and you're really doing well with them. If somebody just happens to sneak up behind you and shoot you in the face, or if while you're fighting the boss, somebody just comes in, sneaks up and shoots you in the side of the head, everything that they've earned, everything that they've done means nothing. You do have a bloodline. All your XP goes towards the bloodline, and as the bloodline rises, then you unlock gear, you unlock guns, you get money. So it's not a full-on permadeath where you get nothing out of it. You at least get some experience points, and that goes towards unlocking things which you can give to the new hunters that you have to recruit. There are 3 tiers of hunters. Obviously, the higher the tier is, the more gear, the more guns, the more traits that these hunters have. But of course, in the beta, as in the main game, the best hunters and the best weapons cost a lot of money. I think it's killer that you're going PvP versus PvE, and I think it's the first game that really uses some of the staples of the Battle Royale genre in a creative way. Now this doesn't really feel like a Battle Royale game, it feels like something completely different, and that's a good thing. The guns and the combat are just too damn fun because there's so much on the line. You know, if you're too timid, you might get killed because you're kind of laying back in the cut. Maybe you have that gear fear, you know, you didn't spend money on the best gun. So when you go into a fight against somebody who's a little more confident, who has a better gun, you will lose. So You have to shrug off that gear fear, and you have to invest in a good hunter, in good guns, and it'll pay off. I loved building up my hunter and watching my bloodline grow and seeing new stuff unlocked. It is a very rewarding system, and it definitely pays off. The more stuff you unlock, the stronger your hunter is going to be. Even if it's one that you've just recruited, they will be that much better than somebody else's because you've put in the work. There's only 2 songs in the game, but they will stick in your head and stay there forever. You don't hear them during the actual gameplay. During the gameplay, it's all ambient sounds, and that's what you want because you want to hear other hunters, you want to hear the zombies, you want to hear the water monsters, you want to hear all these creatures and all these people trying to kill you before they hear you. This game has some of the best sound design in any game that I've ever played. It's very minimal, but it's very impactful. Everything that you hear is for a purpose. Everything that the other players hear serves a purpose. You hear the different creatures coming, you know what types of creatures they are. You can hear the hunters coming. The directional audio in this game is the best directional audio that I've ever experienced. Whether it be your teammate, if you guys are talking and they're in the other side of the room on the right side, you'll hear them from the right side and it sounds muffled because you have the wall between you. The sound design is done amazingly well. And that's just one of the great things in this very detail-oriented game. One of the things that I really thought was cool is as you're running around, there are different creatures that can alert the other players to your location. Even if you're being quiet, you're crouched, and you're going stealthy, your position can be given away by horses that are wounded, laying on the ground. There's chickens, there's ducks, there's crows, there's dogs inside of a pen. All of them can make sound and alert the other players to your presence. And if you do alert one of these animals to your presence and they make a sound, the other players are for sure going to know you're there because the undead creatures in the game don't alert the animals. They don't freak the animals out because they're used to them being there. So if someone hears a horse, if someone hears ducks or the crows or whatever, they know you're coming and you just screwed yourself. The boss fights are pretty fun. I love the banishing phase once you've beat them because it's really tense. You have to keep running around and looking out for the bad guys trying to get you and take your bounty. The player base overall was pretty skilled, but they can be pretty cunty as well. And that makes sense because obviously not everyone would play by the rules. But you will run into opportunistic campers like I did. You'll run into lazy players who just don't feel like doing all the work and they wait for you to do it. Then they try to kill you and take your stuff. And of course, you will run into teammates that try to shoot you or hit you just because they think it's funny. You'll run into teammates that don't talk. Now that's going to be the case in any game, but in this game it's pretty important that you have teammates that work with you. Now there's 2 things you need to remember while I'm talking about this game, all right? One is the fact that it's in early access on PC and that, again, this is just the beta. This isn't the full release. Even the PC game, which is early access, has been out for a year, isn't nearly ready. It's going to be a while before we get the full game for sure because there's a lot of stuff that still needs polishing, as fun as this game is. I came across creatures that stuck in T-poses after I killed them. I had a match launch where I could run around and shoot and blow things up and stuff, but I couldn't interact with anything. No creatures realized I was there. Matchmaking can take a long time, and more often than not, it did. Now granted, this is the beta, so that full player base isn't there, so it's going to take a bit longer to find people to play with. The hit detection can be pretty spotty whether you're shooting at the undead or you're shooting at other players. And that's obviously important. Hit detection when you're fighting a team of 2 people and you're a solo, it definitely matters because, you know, if it's not spot on, if you try to shoot somebody in the face and it doesn't register and then they shoot you in the face and you die, well, too bad, so sad, you lost. Now the hunter that you had built up is gone and those other guys get to loot your body and laugh about it. On the computer, this game looks fantastic. Here on the console, at times it did look fantastic, and other times it looked like some PS2 shit with, you know, graphical pop-in and a lot of textures that were really janky. And I'm not sure why that inconsistency is there. Maybe because it's the beta and they're more worried about the net code and all that kind of stuff, but the graphics were definitely hit or miss on the beta. I had the game crash a few times when I launched matches and when I finished matches. The whole game stopped and it went back to the home screen on my Xbox. But then again, like I said, this is the beta, and the whole point of an actual real beta is for the developers to find out problems that are in the game. So then you report them and they can improve them. And that's what Crytek is trying to do with Hunt Showdown. So I did report all of these bugs that I just talked about to the developers. Alright, so now that I've told you about the game, I told you about the bugs, I told you about the things that I liked and disliked, what does that mean for the beta and what does that mean for the full release? Overall, it was a solid experience. I enjoyed my time in the game. I love the fact that everything in the game is trying to kill you. Even the stuff that isn't able to kill you will tell everybody else where you're at so that you can be killed. The atmosphere of the game, be it from the menu music to the graphical presentation, the creature design, because the creatures just look amazing. And there's a lot of different types. You have to learn the nuances of each and how to kill them and how not to be killed by them, because certain ones, if you do certain actions to them, it can backfire. Sure, they'll die, but they'll take you out with them. So once they clean up all these bugs and they really fix the graphics and all that kind of stuff and they do the full release, I'm definitely going to pick it up because I think it will be a fun experience, especially with a lot of players and if you play with friends. If you have a friend that you play games with a lot and you're kind of on the same wavelength, you can definitely be a lethal team of hunters, whether it be against the creatures or against another team of hunters. And if you take your time and play properly, you can definitely hunt down teams as a solo player or as a duo before they know that you're there. Wait till they go into the water where they can't run. Wait till they're engaged with other zombies and then shoot them and then kill the zombies. There's lots of ways that you can kill the other teams and it's really great. In the full release, there are going to be more levels, there's going to be more guns and gear, there's going to be multiple maps and more bosses. So all in all, the Hunt Showdown beta was pretty fun. So now you can check out my sweet ass gameplay paired with the music from the game. Enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.